Let's see what happens. Here we go. Can y'all see that?
I can see it. And what you can do, Carl, is I think if you go to slideshow and then from beginning, yes.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to try to muddle through now. I don't think we'll be able to do the video. I don't know how to do that, but I can recapture it. Today, guys, I've been asked to share with you Polio Plus, which we're in the middle of an initiative, and we've talked about this already a couple of times, but the key factor, and we were going to have a video that showed this, but the key factor is for every dollar we put in as a pledge this year, put in properly as David Williams does, it turns into $6. So a $100 pledge is essentially a $600 donation. And to me, that's key because you don't get a 6-for-1 very often in life. And I think it's important that we take note of that. Several of the members have already done so. I would be remiss if I did not mention that we have definitely met our polio goals, and we do so every year. But I am, I guess, struck by the fact that if we can give sacrificially in this time, we're in fact taking that and multiplying it by 6. So keep that in mind as we go. So my goal today was to take us on a trip. This trip we're going to is northern Nigeria in the Borno state. Now let me see if I can figure out how to get the next slide. There we go. I did it. This gentleman here, his name is Musa Muhammad Ali. He was born in Borno State, Nigeria, one of the 3 states that still remain endemic for polio. Mr. Ali was crippled at an early age by the ravages of the polio virus, which forces him to pay for transportation. He is a farmer, and the transportation he must pay for is to buy feed for his livestock. Thanks to a grant from the Polio Plus Foundation, Musa has received a hand-operated tricycle, which he now can use for transportation to pick up and deliver his feed to his livestock. And therefore, those funds are now available for other necessities that he has in his very complicated life. I show you his picture because I want us to have a feel for just how difficult it is for even a simple obligation of getting food back and forth to his livestock becomes near impossible. But yet with this grant from Polio Plus, he was able to take and create a way of transporting so he can get his food for his livestock, and it frees up a large amount of funds for other necessities in his life. So just exactly what is the plus in Polio Plus? Polio Plus funds not only help eradicate polio, but do we realize the added benefits that the plus brings to the table? Things like hand-operated tricycles, bed nets, enhanced medical treatments, simple things like soap for hygiene. And then there's vitamin A drops. Early on, Polio Plus in Nigeria realized through a study through UNICEF that by adding vitamin A drops to young children at the time of polio vaccination, we were able to prevent almost 1.25 million deaths by decreasing susceptibility to other infectious disease. In the following slides, I will try to show you what Polio Plus has accomplished. The first objective is preventing disease. In this slide, you can see that we are showing the preparation of the polio vaccine, which is distributed via UNICEF. The GPEI, which is the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, is in fact what Rotary does. That is Rotary. And that's Rotary's goal, is eradicating polio. And that group has coupled with UNICEF and the World Health Organization in bringing the vaccine to these areas of the world where the virus still runs rampant. GPEI has funded 91% of the work provided by UNICEF and the World Health Organization. Things like polio surveillance systems, not only distributing the vaccine, but administering the vaccine. They also detect early outbreaks. In 2018, the GPEI was able to report an early outbreak of yellow fever. And in 2014, they were able to report an early outbreak of Ebola. Early detection leads to isolation and decrease in the spread. This most recently was employed in the COVID-19 pandemic. Here we see a lady named Herrera Idris. Herrera Idris is a individual who lives in northern Nigeria. In northern Nigeria, malaria kills more people than any other disease worldwide. Here she is shown installing an insecticide-impregnated net that was provided by Polio Plus. At the time of vaccination of her children, she collected one of these nets to help prevent the spread of malaria in her area. Also, GPEI distributes anti-malarial medications at vaccination events. Tunji Fincho, who is the chair of Rotary Plus in Nigeria, points out that sometimes when things are free and persistent, they raise suspicions. And I think this is an important point because in these areas of the world, you not only have to educate, but you have to overcome issues with, I guess, cultural things that we don't see in this country. For the most part, people understand the science behind vaccination. But in these areas of the world, they don't understand that. And if they see a vaccination going on, a vaccine initiative going on persistently, and there's no charge, then rumor and suspicion rise, and a lot of times people back away from the program. Rotary Plus saw this early on, and by adding educational health camps, reluctant families became willing to come out with their children and have them immunized. It was the mere simple addition of an added thing that brought to them the realization that there were other things. To be honest with you, the health camps also play an invaluable role in teaching hygiene, maternal health, as well as polio prevention. Here we see Fatima Umar educating Hadizazana in the ways of routine hygiene. This is again an area that is funded by Polio Plus. So what I'm trying to get us to understand is that Polio Plus is not just supplying vaccines and administering oral vaccine in a country where the disease is endemic or all over the world. It is also educating the public as to the importance of vaccine, as to the surveillance of disease and the prevention of disease, hygiene, and many other facets. In this slide, we see people coming to a borehole to collect clean water. Another Polio Plus initiative. It's extremely important that we provide clean water. Tunji Funsho points out the frustration that the people face when they don't have clean water and they're being administered polio drops. Their comment is, and this is a quote, "We don't have clean water and yet you give us polio drops." So people don't understand, okay, we don't have water to clean and cook with, but yet you're giving us these drops. What good is that? They don't understand. Yet, so if we can provide them a better way of life and educate them, we can not only reach them, but we can also help them increase their quality of life. Supplying clean water is a priority of Polio Plus program. Critical in Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Aziz Maman states that clean water is critical to sanitation, hygiene, and nutrition. Without these three things, we have no hope of harnessing and stopping the polio virus. The polio virus is spread through human waste. It is an enterovirus. So clean, uncontaminated water is critical to the stop of polio, as well as cholera, another disease that kills many in this area. Communities with clean water enjoy a reduced rate of disease and a better quality of life. So now we've covered the three endemic states that still remain: Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. All three of which benefit from the Polio Plus initiative. Another thing Polio Plus does is it creates jobs. Here we see Isaku Musa Maji, a gentleman who was left disabled by polio with few ways of making a living. At age 24, he taught himself to build hand-operated tricycles. We've already mentioned that earlier. Hand-operated tricycles in this area of the world are critical for polio victims. It is their one way of transportation. Polio Plus orders several tricycles annually from Isaku. Actually, their first order was for 150 tricycles. He created such a quality project, it led the local governments to be ordering from him. And he has now become an entrepreneur in the field of producing these tricycles, which are not only critical to the area polio victims, but also critical to him to help make a living. He became so involved with Polio Plus that he developed a relationship and started participating in the door-to-door vaccination program, which is critical. And we were going to explore that in one of the upcoming slides. Alayu Issa, with money earned in the door-to-door vaccination program, is able to support himself with a small store that he was able to start. And I want to read a quote from Alayu. "I educate people because I don't want any other person to fall victim to polio." Alayu is a victim of polio himself. He knows and understands the hardships of life that polio has caused. He is motivated by that hardship to prevent the disease from affecting others. And I want you to keep in mind, both he and Isaku participate in the door-to-door program, and that is critical. These people are funded by GPEI, Polio Plus, to help participate in the door-to-door program. And I'm going to show you why that is critical in just a second. The ultimate goal of Polio Plus is to improve health care. Amato Mustafa rides a hand-operated tricycle that was created by the gentleman in the slide prior and donated by Polio Plus. Here she is joined by several health workers in Maiduguri, Nigeria. And here's the key statement. UNICEF data shows that by having a polio survivor on the team that goes door to door, you increase success in the vaccination program up to 70%. And that is an increase of almost 50%. So these polio survivors on these door-to-door teams increase the compliance ratio so high that it helps them vaccinate more children and prevent the disease. This is my final slide. I want to read to you a statement. 18 million people around the world who would have died or been paralyzed are alive and walking because of the polio eradication campaign. Health workers and volunteers, supported by Polio Plus grants, have built an infrastructure for delivering health care and collecting data that in many parts of the world did not exist before. It's already being used to improve overall health care and to fight other diseases, proving that the legacy of Polio Plus is more than eradicating a deadly disease from this planet. It's also building a stronger health system that provides better access to life-saving interventions for the world's most vulnerable children. So what I hope I've done in this presentation is to share with you the plus in Polio Plus. For us who sit here in our comfortable homes in the United States, for the most part, the plus in Polio Plus is that if we give $1, it is added up to $6. So if we make a pledge of $100, it will become $600. That $600 will go not only to buying polio vaccine to help eradicate the disease, but it also goes into all these other programs that I felt were important that we explore today, and maybe take a little bit of a trip into this country and see what they're up against. Because of the efforts of Rotary and Polio Plus, we've actually been able to help the children all over this world in diseases that they have been exposed to, not just polio, cholera, malaria, yellow fever, all sorts of diseases that we are able to reduce, plus the fact that we're able to predict and surveil diseases as they build, as we showed in the surveillance program, the Polio Plus pioneered. So we've been able to recognize Ebola, we've been able to recognize outbreaks of malaria and yellow fever, we've been able to see the outbreaks in these areas of COVID-19. All these efforts help improve the health in these underdeveloped countries. I wanted to show you a video, but unfortunately I was unable to today. But the video basically was shared by John Germ. Maybe I can get Hope to put it on our website and we can go view it individually. John points out in the video that for every dollar we pledge, $6 goes forward into the Polio Plus program. And that doesn't come around very often. So I urge everybody in the club who has not already made a pledge to do so, keeping in mind that we have already fulfilled our goal. I'm not wanting to downplay any of that. We are one of the top clubs in the area, and thanks to the efforts of David Williams. But I want to say this one last thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Hope. When I joined Rotary, Bob Sprinkle invited me in to join Rotary. But I got to tell you, David Williams showed me the importance of the polio eradication program. And I thank him as being a mentor for me. Because I think if we can get our Rotarians to understand the importance of what all we're doing in this program, not just in polio, but other things, increasing the quality of life of these children, I don't see anybody that couldn't buy into that. And thank you so much for your time today. I hope I did justice to this program. Thank you.
Wow. Karl, I have to say that is probably one of the best explanations, or the best explanation I have ever heard about the plus and Polio Plus. And you're right, all the supporting programs that go into the grant programs, especially that go into making sure the eradication of polio is successful, is a big part of the Polio Plus program. And so absolutely, thank you so much for sharing all of that information with us. We will also likely next week be able to share that video. I know we had reserved time for our four-way test, speech contest, which we're likely to have very little or no participation in. So I'll plan to queue that video up next week, Karl, so that we can share it with everybody.